Welcome back for another session of Storytime with Momma Liz. We're going to continue our story, The Swan with the Princess's Dream. We left off last night with Diamond leaving Naveen's part of the forest, with Martin following her discreetly as she goes back to her pond. Diamond was not feeling particularly optimistic after leaving that visit. So let's continue tonight and see what happens. So our first chapter tonight is called The Revelation. As Diamond approached her pond, she noticed 3 familiar figures. She was a little delighted to have her mind taken off her gloomy thoughts and flew down to greet her guests. Nicholas was the first to speak. "Would you be willing to come to the castle?" Then Claire said, "Princess Audra, the one we spoke to you about, wants a swan to paint in the pet chambers she asked Prince David to make for us. She asked for some graceful inspiration, which she feels are swans flying about the walls. Of course, we thought about you. Besides, you haven't been by to see Prince David since he's returned. He's been lingering at his window a lot since we returned." Diamond took a breath as she replied, "I am really honored. Guess this would make a good reason to finally see the prince again. Besides, it'll be a nice distraction. So when do we leave?" Nicholas replied, "Can we go now? It's really early enough that we can make it back by this afternoon." As the 4 of them walked to the castle, Diamond shared with them details of her visit with Naveen. However, she didn't go into the wish. Little did they all know, Martin was following them as he wanted to ensure he did as he was instructed. Diamond was amazed at her view as they arrived at the castle. It had enormous towers that looked as if they stacked clear to the clouds. There was a drawbridge that was made of solid oak with brass bearings. The windows were made of stained glass with images of all the magical places in the forest. Vines ventured up the castle walls with the most charming purple flowers she had ever seen. The stone of the towers and walls were an off-white color with specks of emerald green stones glistening as the sunlight hit them. There was a body of blue water surrounding the bottom of the castle under the drawbridge that was so clear she could see all the way to the bottom. The castle walls were surrounded by gigantic ash trees. There were hedges lining the front sides of the castle. They ventured into the castle where Diamond was in awe at the fountains and shrubbery art, one of which looked oddly like herself. The flowers surrounding the courtyard were the most vibrant colors. There were birds flying all around, with butterflies swarming the flowers. Diamond just followed behind Claire and her friends very slowly, trying to take in all that she was seeing. She didn't want to forget any of it. Suddenly, they heard this loud yell coming from one of the windows. When they looked up, they could see a window opening and the princess peering out of it. She exclaimed, grasping her hands together under her chin, "You found me a swan! I'm so happy! Stay right there. I'm coming down to meet you." Diamond waited with great anticipation. Her friends began to tell her all about the rooms in the castle and how they lived. She barely heard anything they had to say as she watched the princess float down the staircase to meet them. She remarked to herself how striking the princess was. She was so graceful and walked as if she were floating on air. Diamond didn't notice this before when she saw Princess Audra in the forest that day with her nursemaid. As the princess approached, Diamond began to bow her head. Diamond was immediately cut off by the princess as she said, "No, please, that is not necessary. We humble ourselves here on not using formalities. Please, come in and be our guest for the day. I will show you around the castle if you'd like, and then show you to the pet chambers." She paused for a second when she realized that she had just started talking without introducing herself. "Where are my manners? I'm so sorry. My name is Audra. What is your name, and where do you come from?" she asked. Diamond tried to speak, but all that came out of her beak was a short honk. The princess chuckled a little with a kind look. Claire chimed in. Diamond is her name, princess. Audrey exclaimed, how fitting! Very nice to meet you, Diamond. Please follow me as we tour the castle on our way to the pet chambers. Audrey continued to take them on the tour of the castle and explained every room as they passed each. They eventually made it to the pet chambers. This is where I want my artist to paint you in every aspect of your beauty and elegance, Princess Audrey explained to Diamond. Diamond responded, what do you need me to do? Why a swan? There are much more beautiful creatures in our forest that you can capture. Princess Audrey replied, yes, there are many magnificent creatures in our forest, but none have shown me pure beauty, grace, and the peace of the forest as that of a swan. I was only able to imagine you embracing those qualities. Claire and the others tried to describe you, but they are correct. Words do not even come close. I hope you don't think that is too forward, and I don't mean to embarrass you. Diamond just lowered her head, saying, you are too kind. Your words are generous. To break up the uncomfortableness of the moment, Princess Audrey called in the artist to discuss his plans with her and Diamond. Once they laid out the plans, Princess Audrey and the artist left, leaving Diamond and the others to settle in for the evening. Later that evening, after everyone settled in for the night, Martin made his presence known. Martin, how long have you been here? Diamond asked. I followed you from Navine's. She asked me to keep an eye on you. This must be Claire, Nicholas, and Vincent, he replied. Oh, yes, sorry, she replied. Claire interrupted. Nice to meet you, Martin. I don't mean to be rude, but we have to hear about what Naveen offered Diamond. Can one of you tell us? Diamond explained what Naveen told her while walking over to the window. As she finished telling the story, she sighed and placed her head on the windowsill. The group all became sad for Diamond, as none of them knew a princess willing to become a swan and give up her position in life. They left Diamond to her thoughts, and they all took their places in their sleeping areas. Martin took his place next to Diamond, giving her a heartfelt look before closing his eyes. Diamond made herself comfortable, and as she drifted, she thought to herself, at least I'm here, and can see Prince David no matter what form I am in. I'm sure it'll be a nice surprise for him. The next day, Prince David came into the pet chambers and stumbled as he saw Diamond sleeping with the others. His heart pounded harder as he watched her. He thought she had forgotten to meet him. He could barely catch his breath when he noticed her waking up. She opened her eyes and focused on his figure standing in the doorway. She immediately started smiling. Good morning, Prince David. Did you think I forgot about you? I sure thought you forgot about me. Are you going to come in? She asked. Still trying to catch his breath, he replied. Good morning, Diamond. I won't lie. I did think you forgot, but hoped you hadn't. I have so much to tell you. Do you think we could take a walk so we don't wake everyone? Sure, she replied, with her grin returning. She met him at the doorway and allowed him to lead the way. They spoke of their adventures. David shared his journey to Princess Audra's kingdom, the storms they overcame, the king's odd but jolly nature. He spoke of the tenderness between King Cliff and Queen Renee, expressing how he only saw that in his parents, and longed for that for himself as he gazed into her eyes, losing himself for a moment. And there was this game called Polo, he went on as to change the subject and break his urge to spill out his longing to be with her. Princess Audra, Diamond interrupted him by saying, she seems wonderful. Are you happy with her? Her question caught him off guard. He replied, happy isn't what I would call it. I would call it pleasant cooperation. Yeah, that will describe it just fine. So you like her, huh? Diamond replied, yes, I do. She seems very nice and loves the animals. She doesn't know it, but I have seen her in the forest a few days ago. She loves your forest. I can't say she sounded to be, what's the word? As cultured or conditioned to the life you have to offer her. He laughed, which she found odd, as he replied, "No, she's not. You got that right on the spot. It's an arrangement we are both trying to make the best of." Just as he started to continue, they heard Princess Audra calling from the distance. "Diamond! Prince David! The artist is ready! Wait up, and I'll go with you to the pet chambers." They caught up to Princess Audra as she continued stating, "I can't believe we'll be able to see Diamond anytime we want. She is just exquisite, isn't she?" David couldn't hold back the emotion in his voice as he answered, "Yes, she is. The most beautiful I've ever seen. That mural will bring us happiness every time we look at it." Princess Audra, puzzled, asked, "Have you two met before? You speak of her as if you are known to each other. You mentioned a swan when we first met." Diamond responded, "Actually, yes. Last year he shot me." Princess Audra was shocked as her mouth dropped open. The prince defensively responded, "Hey, I nursed you back to health, and I felt terrible about it." They both laughed as they continued walking. Princess Audra just watched from a distance, pondering the interaction. Our last chapter for tonight, the disclosure. They arrived at the pet chambers. Diamond took her placement where the artist instructed. Princess Audra and Prince David went to the opposite side of the chambers to have a seat to watch the work begin. As the artist repositioned Diamond several times, Princess Audra noticed out of the corner of her eye the prince leaning forward. She looked over and noticed the look on his face and in his eyes. There was a sweet softness to them, almost an adoring look. She whispered to him, "She is alluringly beautiful, isn't she?" David responded, "Yes, she is. I have never seen any other creature more beautiful than her. My forest has a lot of creatures in it, and I have never seen any of them compare to her. You made a great choice." He looked at her, then recomposed himself in an upright position. Princess Audra thought to herself after nodding her head in agreement, "He's in love with her. How did I miss that earlier? I envy her freedom to live as she does. No rules, no walls to keep her confined. She could come as she wants. Her elegance would make anyone fall in love with her. I wish I could trade places with her. I would love to be free of this life." The artist was done with as much painting as he could do, and Diamond was exhausted from the endless positions he put her in. As the artist left, Princess Audra asked Prince David to see if dinner was almost ready. "Everyone coming to the dining hall? I am starving, and I am sure Diamond is needing some nourishment after today." They all walked together to the dining hall, taking their seats. The kitchen servants served dinner while Princess Audra started a toast. "Diamond, thank you for your hard work today. I can't tell you how much I enjoyed watching the artist put a reflection of you on the walls. I think it'll become my favorite room in the whole castle. Don't you agree, Prince David?" Prince David just nodded his head in agreement, wanting to not indulge this discussion further. Diamond blushed and put her head down. "All right, everyone, eat up before it gets cold," Princess Audra said. Dinner was silent, with subtle glances across the table between the prince, the princess, and Diamond. After dinner, Princess Audra and Prince David took a walk after excusing themselves and bidding everyone a good evening. "Thank you for humoring me for a walk. I wanted to talk to you about your feelings for Diamond," she said. He embarrassingly laughed and explained, "I can't be in love with her. She's a swan, and I'm a man. There is no way that would be a match." Princess Audra asked him this: "If there was a way for Diamond to be human, would that make you happy? Would you want to be with her?" Prince David was confused and wasn't sure what answer to give, but his eyes and his silence gave him away. "You do know that every enchanted forest has a magic of its own, but it's only visible to those who believe," she explained. Prince David pondered on this for a bit as they started their return to the sleeping chambers. He escorted Princess Audra to her chamber, still silent, and gave her a kiss on the cheek. "Good night, Princess. You are peculiar in manners, I must say. Still trying to figure out if that is good or bad. Sleep well. I will see you at breakfast," he said before walking to his bedchambers. Princess Audra walked into her chambers, closed the door, and headed to the bathroom. When she walked out of the bathroom, she heard a knock on her door. She opened the door. She was surprised to find Martin. She just smiled for a moment, as she had never seen a dragon before dinner. Seeing him made her think to herself, "I just love the magic in this place." "You remember me, Your Highness. My name is Martin," he stated as he motioned to be led into her room. Stepping aside and motioning for him to come in, she replied, "Yes. How can I be of service, Martin?" With a big grin on his face, he admitted he had overheard the prince and her talking. "I think I need to take you somewhere tomorrow, my lady. I know of someone who has the magic you spoke of. I have noticed your spirit is, what is the word, restricted being in this castle. I must also say, I heard the questions you asked the prince. Can I ask you what you know of the magic you spoke of? And would you be interested in hearing more or learning how you could make yourself and a certain swan happiest than either of you could imagine?" Princess Audra beamed from ear to ear with her smile as she listened to Martin tell of the wish Naveen said she could grant Diamond. After he was done, she knew what she had to do. "Can we go see Naveen first thing tomorrow morning? I want to talk to her more about this before we say anything to anyone," she asked. "Of course, my lady. Please, let us get some rest, and I will come for you in the morning. Sleep well, Princess," he answered as he left her chambers to join the others in the pet chambers. The next morning, after breakfast, Diamond reported to the artist to start another round of painting and positioning. She didn't realize Prince David joined them in the room shortly after she was posed. The prince sat and watched as the words the princess spoke to him the evening before echoed in his head. As he watched, he couldn't help but allow his mind to venture to his fantasies. He could see Diamond as a blur in his mind in human form. They were getting married and having children of their own. They were happy in the castle together. "Sire," Nicholas said, interrupting the prince's thoughts, and asked in an earnest tone, "Have you seen Princess Audra this morning, sire? I have searched most of the castle, but I cannot find her." Prince David told him, "I'm sure she is here somewhere. It is a big castle, Nicholas. You two probably just missed each other." Diamond, hearing the conversation, lost her pose, causing the artist to fuss. She asked if they could take a break. "Yes, but only because I need to replenish my paints," the artist said in a huff, irritated voice. She approached the prince and Nicholas. "Is everything okay over here, gentlemen?" she asked. Nicholas replied, "Yes, I was just trying to find Princess Audra this morning. I haven't seen her." Diamond looked questioningly as she recalled she hadn't seen the princess at breakfast either. She asked, "Did either of you see her at breakfast?" David now looked perplexed, replying, "No, actually I didn't see her after last night's walk. I will go look myself. I will see you all later this evening. Diamond, don't give the artist too much of a hard time today, please." He smiled a devilish smile at her as he left the chamber. "You all should go help him. Me being in poses all day is not going to be fun for anyone. You might as well do something productive today." Claire and Vincent snickered as they followed the prince and Nicholas out of the chamber. The group arrived at the princess's bedchamber. The prince knocked, but there was no answer. He called her name through the door as he knocked again. Worried, he opened the door, called out her name again. Seeing she was not in the room, he turned to the group saying, "I'm sure she just went for a walk. Seeing as though Martin is not here either, I would safely assume they are together. She did tell me last night that the forest is full of magic for those that believe. Surely she just went to explore. If she isn't here by dinner, then we will start to worry. Agreed?" Vincent agreed reluctantly, along with the rest. The prince and the group headed to the courtyard to play since it was such a lovely day. The prince needed a distraction from his thoughts and nagging feelings. That is it for tonight. Thank y'all for joining. I hope y'all are enjoying the story so far. If you want your own copy, you can go on Amazon.com and look up The Swan with the Princess's Dream, or you can go on my website, KeeblerWritingsLLC.org, and reach out to me, to request an order yourself. I will sign it with a special message as well, and offer a free gift if you order directly through me. But look forward to seeing you guys tomorrow. Y'all have a good night.